All right, hello and welcome to this unit lesson for the Social Studies class. I'm Mr. Meyer, and the lesson we'll be covering is the conquest of the Americas, Hernan Cortez and the Aztec people of Mexico. First, we're going to start off with the assessment timeline. Let's just go straight to that. Now, before the unit begins, students will access and submit a simple survey that asks about their interests and their study habits. Students will take a multiple-choice pre-assessment that covers the forthcoming unit material and other questions that pertain to the specific time period. Students will receive a KWHL chart that will be utilized during their main tool for collecting information during the unit. Before we begin the unit, the students will be briefed on how the class will be structured and what our main objectives will be. So that'll be a list of procedures that go along with the PowerPoint presentation. And then during the unit, students will learn individually and in groups how to properly research information and compare this information from various sources using technology, such as computers, smartphones, notebooks, the internet, and various websites, and of course the library. Students will collaborate on compiling information and filling out their KWHLs. Weekly, students will receive an assessment, whether in the form of a worksheet, quiz, group, or versus group quiz that determines the student's needs and monitors progress while reinforcing knowledge on the unit subjects. Each group of students will utilize in a specific subject of the unit and present their information to the rest of the class in the form of a simplified study guide of the subject to help their fellow classmates prepare for the final unit assessment. Later, before the final assessment, the groups will give a performance assessment of their subject. This will also act as a peer evaluation, challenging the students to help each other collaborate the information properly to the best of their abilities. Excuse me. All of the class will utilize Microsoft Word and PowerPoint to properly collect and arrange their information. And then post-unit completion, using the completed KWHLs and group project study guides, the teacher and the class will create an online final assessment using an easy test maker or another website for the collected information. There's various test and examination creation generator machines or software that is available online, so we can use any of those. The student groups will perform an assessment of their specific unit subjects to the class and receive a peer evaluation report from their classmates. Then the students will take the final assessment online. As part of completing the unit, the student groups will play a game of Jeopardy that explores both the unit subject matter and contemporary current events topics to complete the lesson. So that's basically what we'll be covering during the timeline. Now let's get on to the unit checklist. So this is a unit student checklist that each student will receive along with their graphic organizers. And this is how we're broken down, or the unit will be broken down. The pre-conquest civilization of the Aztec people, we'll be covering them first. Then we'll go into the Spanish conquistadors of Hernan Cortez specifically. And then the third portion of our lesson will be the interactions, conflict, and conquest of what is modern-day Mexico. So that is our unit checklist for each student. This helps them keep track as to where we're at, what we have covered, along with the graphic organizers. Let's see here. The next thing we'll be covering is the essential questions. And these are things to ask before and during the lesson, the unit lesson. What were the technological, economic, biological, cultural, and geographical advantages and disadvantages for the Spanish during the conquest? What are the best and most reliable resources for researching information on the conquest? After completing this unit, can you, as a student, give a contextual argument that defends the actions of all parties without adding a personal or modern bias. So we'll be going over a lot of context within our units. And number 4, this will be our inspiration. So this is just a example of what one of the graphic organizers will look like. Created this on inspiration. So this is the following inspiration graphic organizers will be utilized over the course of the unit lesson. Each of the bubbles that contribute to the final conclusion within the center will be a subject or subjects covered during an individual class period, any of these, with the exception of the weekly assessments to reinforce the previously learned material. This graphic organizer is very important to have as it helps give a contextual overview of the main contributing factors to the eventual conquest of the Aztec civilization. So we got the conquest right in the middle, and then these are all the contributing factors that we will be covering. Let's see here. So this is basically one of the examples of one of the examples of the graphic organizers. And within our next video, we will cover identifying similarities and differences using a Venn diagram and discussing the lesson vocabulary. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you back in class.